We saw the story last week. Local 4 in Milwaukee reported witnesses describe mobs. Some people claim racially charged attacks. Roving bands of black youths attacking everybody for no reason whatsoever. One Iraq War veteran said it was 100% racial. A brutal scene, shocking to some, but one alderman in Milwaukee, Bob Donovan, along with his colleague Joe Dudzik, says this is simply, and I quote the press release, reaping the harvest that we've sown. Alderman Donovan, thanks for being my guest.
Well, Michael, I appreciate the opportunity.
You caught my attention with this bold press release you sent out. And I said to Chad Nakanishi, our producer, we've got to get this guy on. You just don't see people speak out so candidly on an issue like this. Let's start with, if you would, Alderman Donovan, tell us what happened at the Milwaukee State Fair there.
Well, this occurred last Thursday evening. It was ironically the opening day of State Fair, which is here in Wisconsin, is held in Milwaukee, and there started early evening some fights that broke out along the Midway area. Those were dealt with and so on, but then things began to escalate as the evening went on, and then about 11 o'clock, they were able to get a number of these individuals out of State Fair. Well, of course, they poured out onto the street and really wreaked some havoc there. We had, of course, of that evening, there were 7 police officers injured, 2 of which had to be hospitalized. Probably, I'm guessing, perhaps a dozen individuals injured, several of them that had to be hospitalized as well. And all indications, all the witnesses seem to point to one thing, that this was largely African-American youth that simply got out of hand and went after whites. I don't know how else you can explain it, but that's
now, how big event is the Wisconsin State Fair? I mean, how many people typically attend? Because in the state of Texas, the Texas State Fair is the event of the year. I mean, it is huge. How many people are we talking about?
We have, on any given day, I'm guessing perhaps over 100,000 people that are there. On a normal day, some days much higher. So it's a big event. People come from all around the state, as well as the Midwest. It's always been a very family-orientated, great event, and unfortunately, this kind of crazy behavior marred it. And hate to say it, but our numbers are significantly down.
So there were problems. Milwaukee Alderman Bob Donovan talking about what happened at the Wisconsin State Fair last week. There were problems throughout the course of the day with these young black youths.
I would say it primarily started early evening, around 6, 7 p.m. That as I said, fights were breaking out on the Midway, some crazy behavior, knocking people over, even some kids knocked down and so on. The police, the State Fair police that are in charge of security within the State Fair grounds made about 24 arrests that day, most involving those incidences. But as I said, there were 7 of those officers injured. That's incredibly bad situation, and 2 that had to be hospitalized.
Is this an annual problem where young black youths are running amok at this fair, or was this something that and do you believe this was coordinated?
Oh, I believe it was coordinated. We're getting indications that I was told one individual knew this was going to occur 9:30 that morning, that they were going to wreak havoc on the state fair. Now, again, this is, I'm hearing this secondhand, but it certainly appears to be a coordinated effort. Now, having said that, no, this is a rarity that we would have any kinds of problems like this at the state fair. But unfortunately, Michael, this is the second time within the span of a month that we have seen this wilding kind of incident here in Milwaukee. Over the 4th of July weekend, we had a very serious situation again, apparently, as the witnesses, as the individuals injured indicate, racially motivated. People attacked who were in one of the parks here in Milwaukee after they were viewing the fireworks for the 4th of July celebrations. It was so the bottom line, this is the second time. And I know for a fact that there have been smaller incidences like this in Milwaukee's inner city that I believe there have been efforts to try and keep under wraps.
And so, Alderman Bob Donovan with the city of Milwaukee, let me read a couple of things you've written. I think they're very powerful. They're glaring truths that citizens know, but you just don't hear elected officials say these things. You write, there are repercussions for single-parent homes where children aren't properly supervised and where they aren't held responsible for their actions. There are repercussions for a staggering, decades-long, near 50% unemployment rate for African-American males in our city. And then you go on to say, our hearts go out to the older generation of African-Americans in this city who remember when their community had one of the highest marriage rates in the city. Sadly, many of those same residents are now scared of their own children and grandchildren. And then you tie it all together with no amount of millions of dollars in government spending or resources is going to address this problem. What is, Alderman Donovan, what is going to fix this?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. I don't know how you can this comes, in my mind, down to a personal responsibility kind of situation. I look at government. Certainly government has a role to play in our society. First and foremost, their local government, their major role is to ensure our citizens' safety. But beyond that, I don't have the answers, Michael. I quite frankly, and I've said this for years, given the challenges we're facing, we do need to look closely at these kids have got to get out of these environments. I'm not opposed to bringing back orphanages. Somehow, boarding schools, somehow we have got to change this entitlement mentality that kids have grown up in, or many of them have grown up in. We've developed, unfortunately, a subculture, largely, for whatever reason, largely African American.
Alderman Donovan, can you hold with me for just a moment? Can you hold through the break?
Yes.
All right. We're talking to Milwaukee Alderman Bob Donovan. We'll talk about the problems in that city, which are not unlike a lot of other big cities in this country. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the award-winning Michael Berry Show. Awards he earned, unlike President Obama's Nobel Prize.